Hey friends, so today we're talking about leveling up tarot, but specifically the Four of Pentacles. So the first two videos that I did on leveling up tarot and how to look deeper at tarot cards started with two less so friendly cards. I've done the Tower, I've done the King of Swords. You can check that out on my YouTube channel, so if you click through. Today we're going to be talking about the Four of Pentacles instead. So the reason I wanted to bring up the Four of Pentacles next is to give you a little bit of a break from the less so happy cards, and to instead go into one which maybe is usually considered to be quite a good card, to have no real reason to dislike it, and to actually prod you to think about it a little bit more. So generally speaking, what does the Four of Pentacles show us? The Four of Pentacles is about security, stability, comfort, and physical comfort. So it will tend to show when maybe you've got a new job which offers you some more financial security, when you're in a place where you don't have to worry about your bills, or maybe in a physically secure place. So maybe you've been going from home to home for a while and not had a secure place to lay your head, and once the Four of Pentacles begins to show up, whether in a spread or more so just thinking about life themes, this is when you have a more secure home. So stability and security are the two terms you're most likely to see with this card. However, it does also have a sort of dark side to it that I think tends to be overlooked, mostly because in the average reading it probably doesn't come up too much. If you think about it, we tend to be reading tarot for specific questions. So when we see the Four of Pentacles and let's say our question is, what will September hold? Well, the likelihood is that we said security and stability. But think a little bit more about that Four of Pentacles. So what does the Four of Pentacles actually show? If you think to any tarot card you've seen of this card, then you will likely have seen how there is a pentacle usually on top of a person's head, or it is in some way, if there is an illustration on this card at all, because obviously sometimes it just shows four pentacles, it is in some way above or weighing them down perhaps, or maybe it's more metaphorical. So I, for instance, have one tarot card from a deck called Animism Tarot that shows a sort of a chipmunky skunk animal with four strawberries, and there's this one big strawberry that the particular little creature is really focused on. What this illustration is aiming to show is that just because physical security can be found doesn't always mean that physical security is a good thing. It might be limiting you in another way. So when we have the pentacle above the head and when we see it in that position, so that's quite typical of the Rider-Waite style, what that is aiming to show is that the need for physical security and all of the kind of time spent on getting that, the energy and the focus put into that, is limiting of the spiritual self. So whilst you may be finding that you now have plenty of money to spend, or you don't have to worry about your career so much, don't let this become the new normal, because it's going to it's going to stop you from actually achieving some more spiritual goals, to be a more spiritual person. Now, I find that that's best understood when we also add in the Five of Pentacles. So the Five of Pentacles, just for the sake of this video, it tends to be uncomfortable change. One of my favourite illustrations of this card is again from Animism Tarot. In fact, I love that deck. I would recommend it to anyone if they'd like to get a more intuitive deck. What the Five of Pentacles shows in that particular deck is some kiwi birds, and they're kind of babies. You can tell they're not very old, and they're sat on a tree stump, and in the background their forest, their home, has been taken down by fires, and if you look a bit closer it looks like deforestation, something that the birds could not have stopped and could not have prepared for in any way, and they're going to have to move on. They're going to have to find a new home, whether they like it or not. How that relates to the Four of Pentacles is quite simple. If we get too comfortable with the Four of Pentacles, we're going to find ourselves having to move on. It is literally showing that the things you have, your material kind of wealth, is not going to help you when it all comes crashing down or when you lose it. And all you really have is yourself. Think about those birds. They had their nest, but now they don't. They had their forest, but now they don't. And so with the Four of Pentacles, We have the forest, we have the nest, we have our routines, we have the things that make us feel comfortable, but we need to make sure that we're not just comfortable in the physical, sensual, tangible world, and that we have comfort inside ourselves in a way that isn't materialistic, and that way is to maybe accept yourself for something. That way is to learn a hobby just because you can and not because it can benefit you in a way of monetary gain or in a way which is somehow validating to that particular example of yourself. So, you know, sometimes people can want to achieve things because they want to prove something. Four of Pentacles is about that on the surface, and it's about doing those things. But the goal, the challenge that it's setting to you is actually to do something more, to investigate below the surface, because otherwise you're going to get caught up in only really seeing what you physically have and not your spiritual self. So with that in mind, what is the deeper level of Four of Pentacles? Because really that is the traditional meaning. That is exactly what it means on the surface. So how do we take that a bit deeper? Well, the way that we can think about that is actually when we apply it to our society today. So we live in a world which is led by capitalism and consumerism, whether we really like it or not. At least for most people, that is the truth. We, because of that, tend to link our sense of identity to material objects. You right now are perceiving me and my identity probably through the tattoos I've bought, the glasses I've bought, the clothes I've bought, maybe even how my hair is in shape, which again is linked to something to do with money and something to do that I can buy. All of these things, all of these senses of identity are Four of Pentacles because they make us feel secure, because we can buy them, because we can harness them. And that is the modern way that we see the Four of Pentacles in our society. Shifting to the Five of Pentacles, since I'm bringing that up as a good way to read, I think it is, maybe you don't. How do we shift from just seeing what can make us comfortable now, in an instant as we see it, to something which is just us, who we are, even when tragedy strikes? And this is where we begin to investigate the self, what it is, away from physical items. Who are you when you don't have the clothes you want? Who are you when you cannot edit yourself or buy something or enjoy something which requires you to give in to that society and to the idea of consumerism? Of course, we are all going to have to consume, we will have to buy, we will have to use money. That we can't escape, but we can develop ourselves away from that society. So for instance, maybe you're a really patient person and you love to help people. That doesn't rely on consumerism. Maybe you're funny and you like to tell stories. Maybe you're a storyteller. That in itself doesn't have to rely on consumerism. Again, maybe you're enduring, maybe you're persistent. Maybe you've been through a couple things and that has really affected you and made you into a strong-willed and possibly even headstrong person. All of these are your identity away from consumerism. And so when we think about the Four of Pentacles, we have to keep that in mind, because we do live in a world where the Four of Pentacles is describing most people's goals. Most people, because of the way that life is set up, would like to become financially secure, to have a home which is safe and secure, to have money which they don't have to worry about, to pay bills without having to check the bank. 100% valid, and I wish that everyone could have that. But at the same time, if we only strive for those things, then we are going to one day realize that we're quite unhappy or we don't really know what makes us us. And that's an important thing about the Pentacle suit. The Pentacle suit is all about tangible things. It's all about the earthly materials that we can have or that we can harness. Absolutely. However, what is more earthly than yourself as a human being? What is more earthly than you being here, enjoying the earth, seeing nature, seeing the urban sprawl, seeing what we have made of history and ourselves today? What is more earthly than existing itself? Learning, developing consciousness, the ability to live complex lives. I would argue that when it comes to the Four of Pentacles, the most precious and secure thing that we should have is ourselves, away from what we perceive those secure things to be. And so when it comes to the Four of Pentacles, next time it comes up in a reading, consider, are you putting too much emphasis on what you have, what you physically have to prove for the things that you've done, on whether you can buy something, on how bought things can affect your identity. And is that eventually going to lead to that Five of Pentacles, where things become crashing down, things become a little uncomfortable because those things eventually disappear. So that is my quick 10-minute lesson on the Four of Pentacles, Leveling Up Tarot. Hopefully you have learned something new today. If not, there's going to be plenty more to come, so stick around. If you do enjoy my videos, do click subscribe. I hope you have. Or you can consider checking out my Patreon. I make content twice weekly on a wide variety of things: astrology, tarot, life coaching, and basically anything to do with spirituality. So if you're into it, you're into it. But for now, I will leave you. Goodbye, folks.